Hello, Renato. Good evening, mister. How are you?
Great, feeling good. And you, Diogo, thanks very much
Yeah,
for
very
inviting me to this session. It's a pleasure to
sure.
talk.
I thank you for taking it. It is very good to talk to you about this topic, which is a very interesting one. But first of all, let's introduce ourselves to our audience, to our public. Well, my name is Diogo Baldi. I am an English teacher also and director of Workway Business English. I've been a teacher for over 20 years now, and it's quite a nice and long journey, let's say. I am post-graduated in advanced studies of the English language, and I've lived in the US two times for two opportunities. One time was in San Diego, California, for over 5 months, and another short period in Fort Lauderdale, which was 2 months, not that short. And that was an incredible moment in Fort Lauderdale, especially. The first one was fantastic too. But in the second moment, I was there as an English teacher, and it was a very important process in my learning process as a teacher. Well, I think that can explain a little bit about me.
Okay.
What about you, Renato?
Okay, so I'm Renato Brzezinski, and I come from a mixed educational background, business and English as well. I studied business English, business administration. That was a graduation course, which I finished back in 1998, I think. And after that, I went for a specialization course in computing applied to education, and then master's in business and development, and finally PhD in business management again. Like you, I've also spent some time abroad. In my case, I spent nearly 7 years in London, in which
that's quite a long time.
Yeah, nearly 7 years, 6 years and 8 months precisely.
Okay.
And also had the opportunity to work for Bank of Brazil over there. And I've been an English teacher since I returned to Brazil.
All right.
Always my focus has always been business, and now teacher training at Workway Business Language School.
Okay. All right. Great. Very diverse career so far.
Background, diverse
background, and very interesting, and I bet exciting as well. But our conversation today and the topic and the reason we are here is to talk and have like a chat explaining and trying to make it clear about the new mindset, the concept of the new mindset, and how does it apply to our world as teachers, and what is this exactly, Renato? What can we say about mindset? First of all, let's define it.
Yeah.
What can you tell us about mindset or the new mindset?
Okay. Well, I'm quite happy to talk about such an important concept, mindset. This term has been around for a while, for let's say nearly 20 years. It was initially created by a professor from Stanford University, Carol Dweck. Back in 2006, she published the first results of her studies. And mindset is basically about a new way of thinking, or this new mentality, the way you see the way you perceive your life, the way you perceive your job, the way you perceive, the way you learn. It's quite impacts quite a lot your results. And the main focus is not so much on the final goal, your final goals, but on the process, the way you try to reach your final goals, on the journey, more specifically, not so much on the final destination. And if we believe that our thoughts can impact and influence our physical body, for instance, can cause ill, can make you feel sick or ill, for example, do you believe that our thoughts can influence our bodies? You, Diogo, do you?
I do. I do.
So if
I
our
really
thoughts,
do.
so the idea is quite simple. If we believe that our thoughts can influence our body and make us feel ill or sick, it can also influence us in a positive way. It can also make us
Absolutely.
healthier and learn
Absolutely.
in a more productive and enjoyable way. So this is what mindset is all about. Depending on the mindset that you cultivate, that you adopt for your life, for your work, or while learning a foreign language like English, for example, it influences, it impacts
And
positively.
what are the mindsets? What is the mindset I should have? Let's say.
Well, in the literature, we find two types of mindset. Only two types of mindset. There is fixed mindset.
The fixed mindset.
Yeah, there is this fixed mindset. People who adopt the fixed mindset, they usually avoid new challenges. They are afraid of failure. They don't accept. They don't deal very well with failure. They fear. They fear conflict as well, and they focus on results. This type of professionals or teachers, which is our main focus today, they put their energy on the results, on the final results, on the final destination, and not so much on the process. So they end up not having fun. They believe they were born intelligent. They've always been smart, and they will always be smart in their lives. It's like, if we, metaphorically speaking, it's like comparing with a football match or a football soccer game. If the players, run from one side to another, just looking at the board score, they will not have fun. They will not enjoy the match. We can compare roughly.
And everything is so much enjoyable. Let's say when you have fun in the process of let's say, as teachers, when you enjoy the teaching process, be sure our students enjoy as well.
That has to do with the second type of mindset. The first one is the fixed mindset. Teachers who adopt, who cultivate this fixed mindset, they don't enjoy classes. They focus on final results. If the students will pass the test at the end of the year, if the student will get the international certificate, he's struggling to get, like Cambridge certificate or TOEFL or whatever. On the other hand, the mindset that is highly recommended is not the fixed one, is the opposite one, which is called the growth mindset. People who adopt the growth mindset, they embrace challenges. They like new things. They like to experiment new resources, new teaching resources, like the one we've been learning and having to use, such as this online platform. And they see new challenges and opportunities to develop new skills and learn in a more productive way.
And even for shy people who avoid facing challenges, avoid problems and interactions, let's say, the right mindset is to face it. It might not be so enjoyable, okay, but over time, if you exercise the growth mindset, the gains are so much and so relevant that it becomes almost like a lifestyle, I would say, if you have this mindset of growth. You start little by little enjoying facing challenges, and you even look
Definitely.
after them.
Absolutely. If you don't focus so much on your final results, you start enjoying the
Yeah,
journey. The
that's
journey,
right.
everyday lessons, everyday classes, they become much more
Yeah,
pleasurable
yeah.
and
Hmm.
fun. If we teachers, if we have fun, if we feel pleasure in doing it, uh, it's very, very likely that our students will feel pleasure too. They'll become
Absolutely.
more engaged, they will enjoy more, they will not be focused so much on the final results, on getting good grades, but they will
Hmm.
enjoy
Hmm.
the process much more than the
Hmm.
final result. So we have to be careful
Hmm.
as teachers not to praise so much results,
the
but
the
the
grade, a
effort.
good grade, but
Not
the
good, not
effort,
oh,
yeah.
congratulations, you've got good grades, excellent
Hmm.
job, great job, you've done a wonderful job,
Yeah,
congratulations on your grade, you score A or
yeah.
so.
Hmm.
No,
Hmm.
rather than this, we should
When
praise
you see
effort.
there was not much effort, because the student is intelligent. Of course, there are many intelligent students, but there are those students who do their homework and they really try, and they go from, let's say, 6 or 7 to 8 or 9. These are the students who need to be congratulated and receive a medal, let's say, at the end of the semester, at the end of a year.
By praising and celebrating with their students every time they start a new process, a new method, a new way of
Mhm.
learning, that's the moment we should praise them. We should congratulate them on
Mhm.
facing a new challenge, and
Mhm.
not when they
Mhm.
finish the process, but when they start a new process and when they are in the middle of a new process. Every time they perform better, every time we notice, we realize that they are having pleasure, that's the moment to praise them and congratulate them. This
Mhm.
way, the student will shift from that fixed mindset to this growth mindset, which is highly more recommended
Yeah,
nowadays.
yeah, yeah. Uh, and in this context, okay, this context, what can we say about the role of the teacher, not only in this aspect, of course, but as a more general aspect? How has the role of the teacher changed,
The role,
considering the role of
okay,
the teacher changed, considering these aspects?
the role of the teacher has changed considerably, just like the role of any other professional, because we're facing a
Mm-hmm.
completely new reality, unprecedented,
Mm-hmm.
never faced
Mm-hmm.
uh, such a big challenge. Just things
Mm-hmm.
happen overnight. In a couple of months, the conventional physical classroom changed into a virtual classroom, and adaptation became the name of the game now. Teachers had to
Mm-hmm.
adapt. The role of the teacher changed. That's why I said that the role of the teacher
Mm-hmm.
changed considerably. In a couple of months, the teacher had to change from teaching on a physical space, considering the limitations of the normal
like
classroom,
like
physical
like had
classroom,
like had always been done.
for over 1,000 years, for thousands of
That's
years.
right.
Yeah,
Yeah,
classrooms had always been that way, had always been
yeah,
conceived
yeah.
with that kind of
The
layout. I mean,
the
a group of
the
students.
changes had been so little in education comparing to other fields,
Definitely.
uh, that now we feel like we are having to change, and it is being a challenge for all of us, all teachers. We were not expecting that. We knew it would come, and we little by little were
Yeah,
getting prepared better and better.
yeah.
But this pandemic brought this huge challenge, and taking into consideration this aspect, the mindset, the
Mm.
teachers who naturally or who understand they need to adapt, they need to be flexible, they are ahead comparing to the, let's say, fixed minded teachers, mindset teachers. These ones, like the teachers who don't like changes or challenges, don't like changes or challenges, these teachers all of a sudden see, I need to change. I need to change the way I work, the way I think, and I need to learn how it works, how this new, it's almost like a new job, let's say.
I would say so. The teacher is having to learn everything again from scratch. Just a short while ago, a teacher was, working, operating, performing in a conventional physical classroom. It's
Mm-hmm.
had always been like this, as we've just said, for thousands and thousands of years. A group of students and a teacher in a blackboard surrounded by four walls, and that's it. The physical
and
convention
he
was quite
and he
limited,
had total control there.
total control, and everything was in his hands. Suddenly, things changed. Now, the new teacher has to has to develop new skills to deal with all these resources because the virtual classroom, like the one we're using now,
Technology. Mm-hmm.
offers many other possibilities. Teachers can now must
Mm-hmm.
now be able to operate resources. They must be comfortable dealing with teaching online teaching platforms.
Mm-hmm.
Everything digitalized. He can access all the solutions are at the tip of their fingers quite easily through
Mm-hmm.
friendly interface with the machine. He can
Again,
access videos.
again, in this moment, teachers need to have the courage to face it and practice. So
That requires a new mindset.
that's right. That's my point exactly. Let me ask you another question. Um, we can say that this fixed mindset can be confused with the so-called comfort zone, right? And and naturally, people tend to like the comfort zone because it's safe. It's easier, let's say. And now, all of a sudden, again, you have to get out of your comfort zone, and it's not because you want; it's because you need. Uh, how can you change? How can you shift this to get out from this comfort zone, or even, let's say, this fixed mindset, and become, and let's say, migrate to the growth mindset? How can we do that? How can teachers do that?
Well, first of all, teachers must recognize that there are two types of mindset. They must realize that the old way is not working anymore. That's the very first step, I would say. And the new classroom requires a new way of thinking. New resources are available. As I was saying just a couple of minutes ago, teachers must be able to access their search engines. They must be able to access YouTube videos, even social medias. Everything is available. And interesting enough, it's for free. Everything is for free. And simultaneously, now the virtual classroom.
And from all corners of the world.
Reliable information, updated, complete, and most importantly, from sources you can trust. You can choose the source you want.
For sure.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So first of all, answering your question, first of all, admitting that the old mindset will not be so productive here in the virtual classroom. The virtual classroom is much more resourceful than the old one. And in order to take advantage of all these resources, the teacher must be prepared to face the challenge. The teacher must not be afraid of failing. There is no stigma attached to making mistakes, first of all. This applies to teachers, not only to students when it comes to learning foreign language.
I wouldn't say that they must be prepared, but they must accept to try. They need to try. And they must accept that failure in this attempt is part of the process, and they will fail. They will fail.
I have seen, and I believe you have seen too, teachers who have shifted, who have changed quite easily to the new model, to this new way of thinking, to this new mindset.
Some teachers were already using these digital platforms.
I would say that a lot of teachers, if not most of them, were using
a good number
just to reproduce what they had been doing before in the same way, which didn't make much sense. And some of them are not able to learn. Some of them have quit. You must have seen some of them. They simply don't accept. They find it difficult. The older ones, they don't get on very well with this new resource.
And because of the mindset, because of their fixed mindset,
they are stuck in.
They barely gave it a try.
These people, they give up easily.
Yeah.
Yes, they give up easily.
And
I had the opportunity to talk to a teacher, an older one, middle-aged, younger generations, younger people, they were born with this ability.
Yeah, for sure. Not a problem, not a big deal to them.
But older people, they for them, it is a challenge. It is quite challenging. Some of them quit because they consider themselves real technophobics. They are still afraid. We still find teachers who are afraid of the PC.
Yeah,
they quit. They don't seem to be able to shift from fixed to growth mindset.
That's right. And you know what happens? We in our country, we don't have the culture of growth mindset, of this mindset that we are now understanding it's necessary. In the talking about companies, talking about schools, they don't accept failure. We don't accept failure. We see it as a flaw, and we haven't seemed to change. This of course takes time, because I'm talking about culture. We are talking about teachers here. We are talking about teachers having to change, having to, if necessary, go from fixed mindset to growth mindset. But what about companies? What about our culture? Are companies prepared, schools prepared to understand that teachers will fail?
Definitely, it is a time-consuming process, and it's because it
But
took a long
necessary,
time for
right?
them to develop whatever mindset they have. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
it took them a long time to settle. So now to change it is going to take a long time again to make all the necessary changes. Everything starts, according to neuroscientists, what they
Mm-hmm.
say, neuroscientists say, is that everything starts with a habit. If the habit persists,
And you
it
need to
becomes,
push a little bit yourself
yeah,
to create this habit.
if that habit persists, it becomes a temperament. If this
Mm-hmm.
temperament persists, it becomes a personality trait, and then
Mm-hmm.
settled. It's quite hard to change it,
Mm-hmm.
but
Mm-hmm.
not impossible. Some people find it can do it quite easily. Others don't.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But it's worth the effort. Now seems to be, it doesn't seem to be something negotiable, something that professionals in general
No,
and teachers,
no,
it's not an option. It's
no.
you
It's from
either do
here.
it, you either,
We are living this transformation. There is no turning back for sure. The past belongs to the past, and it seems there is a long learning journey, let's say.
it's like when
uh,
the bridge went
we are
down,
just starting this process.
we must find a way of crossing the river without a bridge. And that's painful. That can be painful for most people. But as I said, it's not an option. It happened. And
Mm-hmm,
partly
mm-hmm,
because of the pandemic, we all know that. And
mm-hmm.
but it's something that, it's been going on for a while.
I would say that I would say that this pandemic came to accelerate this process.
Historically speaking, wars and pandemics, they accelerate processes. Food production, in this case, education, was badly or positively
Mm-hmm,
affected. And
mm-hmm,
it was kind of dragging itself since the beginning,
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
the end of the 90s.
Yeah.
We were not really convinced. People were reluctant in
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
adopting the online technique or methodology or resources.
mm-hmm.
And suddenly, after the outbreak, it was something almost compulsory, mandatory. People
Sure.
could not choose not to do it. Those professionals, and in our case, we
It's
are
all
mostly
about it
about
was about surviving then.
it's a matter of survival. Yes, you
Mm-hmm.
either change it or you perish.
Yeah, that's it. But we have talked about the teachers' mindset, the companies, the culture, but also we would need to consider and as teachers try to make students understand that they need to change, especially in this process. If we are very specific about the language learning and the language process, all this journey, this is not an easy journey. But we as teachers need to make them understand all this that we are talking about, the mindset that they need to face the challenges. So many students, we know, Renato, so many students stop after 2, 3, 4 months of classes. They haven't even started and they are stopping, believing it's not for them.
I totally
And
agree with you. Yeah.
which is totally wrong. The problem is exactly what we are talking about, the mindset.
Could
They
be.
don't have the confidence, they don't believe they will learn, they don't have the confidence that they can learn, and they give up.
They are afraid of being stupid. They are afraid of being laughed at, and they think they are being evaluated all the time. And they, as I said at the beginning, they focus on their achievements and they want to document their achievements. They want certificates,
Mm-hmm.
diplomas. and they want to receive prizes for their achievements instead of putting their effort into the process. Into
All the
everything.
things that you said, all these things that you said belong to the fixed mindset.
Right, and we must encourage ourselves, first of all,
Sure.
to adopt a different mindset, more focused on growth and development and pleasure.
We need to
And
be coherent, right?
you said something
Coherence.
extremely important. Companies, schools, teachers, professionals from all areas and different professional experience, people from different professional experience in different academic backgrounds. We've always been concerned about to attract clients, to attract students, and keep them satisfied. But little have been studied, researched, and said and published about the role of the client, the role of the customer, the role of the student.
It's
And
true.
our students, they play a crucial role in the process of learning.
Yeah.
Not only the teacher. The teacher depends on the student's ability to co-produce language service. First of all, we must bear in mind that we, as English language teachers, we sell a service. We don't sell a product. So things tend to be way more complicated when we sell services, because it takes time for this whole service to be delivered, sometimes 4 years, 5 years, sometimes up to 8 years. And then imagine, over a period of 8, 6, or even 1 year, results depend on the co-production of two elements here, two people. The service provider on one side, in our case is us, the teachers, and on the other side, the user. Service provider on one side and a service user on the other side. In other words, teacher and student, doctor and patient, for example. The patient plays an important part in the treatment as much as the student plays an important in the education process.
They need to take the pills. The doctors don't go there to give the pill every night or every morning to the patient.
They must buy the right pill, the right medicines. They must take
them
prescribed
correctly.
They must follow the doctor's instructions correctly. They must come back, to give a feedback to the doctor to see if everything is okay, if the problem is over or not. The same happens with us in the classroom with our teacher.
That's very good, very good.
Reality. So the student must also change his mindset. It's extremely important that the student.
And we must let them understand it. This is our role. Another role.
First
of us, let's say, of the teachers, to let them understand it, make them understand it. It's not just my journey, or it's not just my obligation. It's the students' obligation, and to students' process and journey to co-produce the language, as you said, because sometimes it feels it's our responsibility, 100% our responsibility, when we know it's not.
You know why? Because what usually happens is this: you can imagine the best teacher in the world, the best medical doctor in the world, but if the patient doesn't do his job, if the student doesn't do his job, the patient will not be cured, the students will not learn, and what happens? The patient blames the doctor, the student blames the teacher, and it's not fair.
This is so easy, yeah? All right, mister. Let me
play a crucial role in the process of learning a foreign language, or in the process of learning anything you can possibly imagine.
Let me ask you a question here, which is
Mm.
about this moment that we are living. Um, what are the lessons learned? And for teachers, let's be very specific. What are the lessons learned so far? Because it hasn't changed, it hasn't finished, let's say, for the teachers in this moment.
Undoubtedly, the main lesson learned is the need to change the way we see the learn process, the way we see our students. Uh, another lesson to be learned is the need to develop digital abilities. Uh, Another one I would say is to engage, not only engage our students, but also make them understand their role in the process. And
Mm-hmm.
lastly, uh, we must be prepared for even more cutting edge technological resources, which I
They
strongly believe are about to come. This is my personal view, but I think this is just everything that we have seen so far is just the beginning of the process, or
mm-hmm.
of the iceberg, if you like.
That's
Much
right.
bigger
Yeah.
things are supposed to come, and we
And
have
and and
to
and
adapt.
if we, yeah, that's right. And if we don't adapt to this beginning, we will not adapt to what's coming. You know,
We've
we
learned.
need.
Yeah, we are still learning to shift from the physical world to a
Mm-hmm,
virtual world. And we
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
will need to learn to change from the virtual to the next one, which will be conceived by means of artificial intelligence or something absolutely unprecedented again.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And it's very likely that we have another. Let I wouldn't like to say that, but it's
Another
possible. We cannot disconsider this fact. And well, uh, we need to be open to to these possibilities, and that's the mindset we need to explore, develop, and as I have perceived, actually, when you face challenges, and you have a new role in any area of your life, you learn a lot from these challenges, and you build confidence in yourself, and you believe in yourself more and more, and little by little, it's like building a castle.
You said that we learn a lot every time we face a new challenge. I would
That's
say
right.
I would say that every time we face a new challenge, we learn and fail a lot. And there is no problem at all. If you
Yeah,
fail, try again. There is no learning without failing.
that's right. That's
There's
it.
you will never find someone who succeeded in life without thousands of maybe millions of failures.
Hmm. Hmm.
You
Hmm.
think of a
You
musician.
fail and you learn, and you fail and you learn, and you fail better, let's say. But it's a process. It's a never-ending process, let's say. And
Life
it's, as I said before, it's almost like a lifestyle, a new lifestyle, if you like. Facing problems, have the courage to try and try again. You will fail, okay? Get up, stand up, try
will
again.
be evaluated all the time. You and I, we are being evaluated right now by God knows how many people who are watching
That's
us.
right.
And
That's
there,
it.
yeah, we shouldn't be afraid of, being undervalued or criticized, or even for being evaluated. I mean, it's a way of, or probably the only way of learning is by experimenting, trying out new things, facing new realities. And what's happening right now, it's probably the biggest challenge education has ever faced. If you allow me, I just remembered that historically speaking, innovations and new inventions have always revolutionized the way people lived, have always forced people to change their mindsets. In 1495 or 1496, something like 600 years ago, a German guy, Gutenberg, invented the press. Books started to be produced, printed. Before that, people had told their stories orally and by limited manuscripts. From that moment on, books started to be printed. And many people were reluctant because they were afraid of losing the ability of speaking, because everything will be. So a
Really, it's
mindset,
quite interesting.
a new mindset had to be developed, cultivated, and adopted by almost the whole mankind. You know, what we've been facing now, it's something I would say about the same proportion. Another good example of changing mindset. Until recently, the only way to move from one floor to another in a building, inside the building, either going up or going down, was through the stairs, through the staircase.
Of course.
Yes, you needed the physical effort. You had to go up and down. Then somebody thought out of the box and created the lift, a completely new and different way, unprecedented way of moving vertically inside the building. That's a completely different perspective. Moving from a completely different perspective, people had to adopt this new vehicle. At the beginning, always people are reluctant, they are afraid. I remember I was afraid when I first went into a lift or an elevator, as people say in the United States. I was afraid of falling down or something. Yeah.
It's funny.
What we are facing now is not much different. I mean, a totally different reality, you know, moving from
luckily
even traumatizing for some people, especially the ones who are not prepared for this. People who are, you know, have their mind stuck somewhere in the past.
Luckily, teachers will always be necessary, let's say, and we are talking about changes, adaptations.
Skills.
But if you think about the future, we can say there's no doubt teachers will be necessary. Absolutely. Today, in 100 years, let's say. And talking about this, what are we supposed to expect about the future of teachers? And what can we expect about the future?
My personal view again, okay? I feel quite confident and comfortable in saying that we must be prepared to expect big changes, even bigger changes, new resources by means of artificial intelligence, wearable technologies, and obviously, new skills again will be needed, and the teachers must be willing to face these new challenges again, because changes will happen, more and more often from now on. I'm quite comfortable in saying that. Not just teachers, but all areas, all professionals from different areas.
Yeah, and we, as we said before, it's just the beginning of these changes. We haven't explored this. We haven't explored all the possibilities that other areas of the economy in general are already exploring. As you said, artificial intelligence, for instance.
Yeah, and not only technologic, in terms of technological resources and information technology resources, but neuroscientists, they are, also researching, and every now and then they come up with results of their studies, and we've been able to understand every day more about the way we learn, the way human beings behave. Mindset, fixed mindset, and growth mindset are results of one of the studies from Stanford University. It's important to remember the name of that lady, Carol Dweck, is the first one who coined the term mindset back in 2006. It's been around ever since.
Mister, just changing a little bit the subject, I'm going to ask you something really, how can I say, to me, intriguing, which is this new device invented, these devices that you can speak like a microphone and in any language, and the person, the listener, will listen in the language they speak. You know what I'm talking about?
I know what you're talking about.
Would you consider it a threat in the for teachers, language teachers, or we don't need to worry about these inventions and innovations or technology?
Metaphorically speaking, just to understand more clearly, I would say that it's just like, stopping how to learn how to play the piano and enjoying just listening to it. If you quit practicing it and just listening, because this device is actually translating
or having a machine that will move your fingers on the piano, but you are not playing.
I would say that people will always want to have the ability to do it by themselves. They would only rely on such device on emergency situations. Like a couple of years ago, I went to Russia, Moscow, and nobody spoke English there. And communication was a problem. And then in these circumstances, such device would be useful. Otherwise, it's not an ability. And we are educators. We are focused on developing new skills and abilities in people, not in machines.
And we learn. Students learn so much, so many other things in this journey, besides the English, besides the language or any language.
An experience. And in fact, one of our responsibilities is to turn each lesson into an interesting experience. Not just service delivery, not just delivery service, but it's not a passive receiver.
No, it's much more like an interaction.
Two people
of knowledge and ideas.
Two people, service provider and service user, co-produce language service. In our case, business English for business purposes.
That's right. Okay, Mr. Renato. I guess we have covered all questions here, and this topic about this device was something has always called my attention. But what, this device will never work? It doesn't. But yeah, okay, in this very specific circumstances, it might be helpful. We have to consider
Always,
that.
as I said, I believe we will always be educators, you know, not only
Yeah,
English, teaching English,
yeah.
but contributing, supporting our students in
Mm-hmm,
different ways, not
mm-hmm,
only in terms of language, but you know,
mm-hmm,
by teaching language, you cover different topics. So we develop
mm-hmm,
so-called conceptual abilities, not only a
mm-hmm,
technical ability in speaking a foreign language, but conceptual ability, as we have to talk about different topics.
mm-hmm,
We talk about geography, we talk
mm-hmm,
about politics, we talk about economics,
mm-hmm.
about
That's it.
history, and so on. Yeah.
That's it.
And so
And
our
that's right. Just to let people know about our course, we'll be talking and exercising it much more, not only this topic, but how helping teachers actually, how to become digital teachers and how to use the platforms available online and how to prepare material. There are so many things involved in the topic we talked about this night. And we will continue on this journey in our course, which is like the 10 steps to become a digital teacher that will start on October 1st. It's going to be 7 days, from October 1st to October 7th.
Mhm.
And if you like to subscribe or enroll to our course, there will be on Instagram at Digital Teaching WW, which comes for Workway, stands for Workway. And you can see also that in our bio on Instagram. Renato, thank you very much, Mister. It was such a pleasure talking to you about this so interesting topic, which
Was
is mindset, and really appreciated that.
Thanks very much for the opportunity. It was my pleasure to talk about such an interesting and relevant topic.
Okay, all right, Mister. Bye bye, Renato. Have a great night, Mister.
You too. Good night.
Good night.